Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Whiteside, can you tell the subcommittee how drones are producing jobs around the country? I had someone at a forum tell me that a growing industry is going to be drone operators. I don't know if that's a reality or not. How do you see the unmanned aircraft sector expanding in the future, and what kind of jobs should we expect from it?
Sure. Thank you for the question. I think the official forecast is 1.3 million new operators by 2020. And if you look at what's happening now, I think we're well on the way to that sort of a forecast. The drone of the future, or the operator of the future, is probably not going to be a specialized service company like VDOS. It's probably going to become more of a routine tool that the operators are going to use. So the insurance adjuster of today is going to go to his site with a ladder and a drone, and the first thing he'll do is fly the roof when he's doing a roof inspection to see if he needs to get on the ladder to get on the roof. Roofing contractors will do inspections. We know that farming and agriculture will expand to use the technology. So right now we're at the beginning stages of this, and the specialization is really important. But as the technology improves, as it becomes more reliable, as the legal issues become solved, we'll see the expansion quite rapidly into more and more routine daily operations with less and less specialization.
It's interesting. Mr. Whiteside, in your written testimony, you mentioned your company's work in Australia, and you note that Australia has permitted drone operation beyond the operator's visual line of sight for a few years now. How would you compare the regulatory framework in the United States with that of Australia?
Australia is a great example of how certification and compliance can work. The industry is several years ahead of the U.S. in terms of how the technology is being used and what the laws allow. There's a pretty straightforward certification process that somebody has to go through to become licensed, and that goes all the way through to beyond line-of-sight operations. We're stuck right now in the U.S. with a lot of interpretation of the rules, whereas in Australia, we've got the benefit of actually having a path to get certified. And if that key or that element were to be enacted here, that would dramatically change this industry and how the technology is going to be used.
Ms. Jack, can you comment on that too?
The FAA is looking at everything that's involved with integrating drones safely into our airspace, and working hard with the rulings that we've just put out that Mr. Gibson's talked about, and working with industry to develop the concept and the operations so we're integrating it. So it's ongoing work, and it's through our partners that are at this table that we're actually going to be successful. So we appreciate that.
Any other comments from the panel?
Ma'am, I would just recommend that we remind folks of our airspace challenges, most dense, most complex in the world. We already fly some beyond visual line of sight. Alaska, with science and research up there, is beyond. BNSF Rail, we are doing it where we can, and we continue to grow that. And as we mentioned, the Drone Advisory Committee, we're working with industry and our stakeholders. Task Group 2, under the DAC and the subcommittee, are working specifically on access to airspace, which are the things you just spoke about.
I want to say that young people, when I meet with them, drones are probably the most exciting thing to them. And it is in that meeting with young people, like, they see being a drone operator as a cool job to have. I want to say that we, as we move this industry forward, as the industry move us forward, this having a committed set of rules and regulations is extremely important. And my last question is, we talked about drones as it relates to travel into the galaxies. Can someone, I don't understand how a drone is related to us getting to the moon. So can someone drill down on that for me? Mr. Moses.
Yeah, sure. So it's an interesting question, right? So effectively, if you look at the unmanned, uncrewed space program, the robotic probes, those are effectively drone technologies, right? It's a remote probe operated from.
So we're using it now.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then as you go further and further away, that link signal becomes longer and longer. To the moon, it's about a minute delay. To Mars, it would be a 6 to 10 minute delay. And so you need an autonomous system at that point as well so that it operates for itself. So it's a natural progression.
Okay. You're the exciting group before us. Thank you so much for being here.